Welcome back and welcome to Homes Today. This is a proud presentation of Miss Audrey Forshey, who is a renowned realtor at Remax Realty. She's also a superb advisor. People adore her services. Anyway, this week, Miss Forshey has with her an insurance principal by the name of Mr. Brett Boisel. Together, they are found in a discussion on the flood and umbrella policy. Let's take a look.
Hello viewers, welcome to Homes Today. My name is Audrey Forshey and I'm a Remax agent in Montgomery County, Maryland. And today we have our friend Brett Boisel from Boisel Insurance. They're also located in Montgomery County, Maryland as well. Brett's going to be with us today and explain to us a little bit about what an independent agent is in insurance, and we're going to talk about umbrella insurance and some flood insurance and see if that's something that you may need to take a look at to protect yourself. So hi Brett, thank you for coming again. Welcome to the show. So tell me a little bit, I know that we have our big industry insurance companies that you see advertised on TV and stuff, and so what is different about you and Boisel Insurance instead of the big name companies? Tell me about that.
Absolutely. So it's a good question. A lot of people don't fully understand what an independent insurance agent is. The advantage of working with an independent agent is that we have access to multiple insurance companies.
Okay.
So we work with companies like Erie Insurance, Travelers, Chubb, Hartford, Progressive, and others.
Right.
Versus what's known as a captive agent. So the State Farms of the world, Liberty Mutual, those agents are only able to offer products from those companies.
Oh, I see.
So when you look at an independent agent, it's kind of like a one-stop shop for all of your insurance needs.
Okay.
Right? So for your homeowner's insurance, your auto, if you have a business, independent agents can help with that. If you have rental properties, agents can find companies for you with that as well. Being able to work with multiple companies allows us to tailor the insurance package to meet your particular needs. Every situation is a little bit different.
Right.
What might fit for you might be different for someone else. On top of that, it's common, I would say, to get better customer service from independent agents. You have someone usually local to speak to. A lot of people like that personal interaction, that personal experience, versus calling a call center.
I see.
Like Geico, for example.
Yes.
You're one of
a ton of people.
Thousands and thousands of policyholders.
And so I guess that would help too if you could look at several different companies that maybe you could find the best fit, maybe even a better price for me on certain policies that I may need if you have different vendors to go to. Do you find that helps people, like a shop comparison? Because I know people do shop for insurance prices. Is it easier to shop from an independent agent in those terms too?
Yes, I mean just in the sense that you have options.
Okay.
You have the ability to find quotes with multiple companies, right? So, but I would caution people not to always go with the cheapest insurance policy.
All right.
And the reason why I say that is that often when you look at price, you're sacrificing coverage.
Okay.
And what I strongly believe is that people and consumers have been conditioned to think about price first.
Okay.
When you look at the large insurance companies out there, like Geico and Allstate, Nationwide, they are the leaders in terms of advertising dollars spent annually. Geico spends well over $1 billion a year in advertising.
Okay.
A company like Erie Insurance relies on its agencies to do the marketing themselves.
But I know that that's very popular insurance. A lot of my homeowners really like Erie insurance and stuff. I think too, if they're shopping for price, maybe they could adjust deductibles a little bit, could maybe help for, maybe adjusting their monthly fee for their homes and that sort of thing too.
That's definitely one option that you have. To put it simply, the higher the deductible on your policy, the lower the premium is going to be.
Okay.
It's not a good idea to have a home policy with a $250 property deductible. It's going to cost you money in the long run.
Right.
So we advise people to go with $1,000 to $1,500. You can go higher for deductibles. For those of you that don't understand what a deductible is, it essentially is what you pay as the policyholder before the insurance company when you have a claim. Okay. So if you on your home policy, let's say your roof is damaged in a storm and you have to repair some of the shingles. It's a $5,000 loss. You have a $1,000 deductible. You pay the $1,000. The insurance company pays the $4,000.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But if it saves you some money over years, then that's probably worth it potentially,
Absolutely.
Right?
There's no better way to save money in the long term with insurance than to avoid claims. Now that might seem obvious, but what that does is it allows you to remain with the best companies and qualify for the best companies over the long term.
Okay, all right, well that's good to know. So a subject that I want to talk about is, and I find interesting, and I have it, is umbrella insurance. And a lot of times I'll hear investors and financial people say that one of the most important insurances that people don't have and they should have it is umbrella insurance. So can you tell our viewers what umbrella insurance is and what the benefit of having it is?
Okay, so umbrella insurance is essentially excess liability coverage that goes over top of your homeowner's policy, excuse me, and your auto insurance policy.
Okay.
So what's interesting about this is when you look at the minimum required liability limits to drive in the state of Maryland.
Right.
Okay. Let's look at this as an example. So it's $30,000 per person for bodily injury, $60,000 per accident for bodily injury, and $15,000 for property damage. I can say confidently that all of us on a daily basis pass cars on the Beltway whose values, are more than $15,000. So what happens when you hit a car that's $60,000 to replace? Well, that's an out-of-pocket expense. On top of the fact that paying for additional coverage, higher limits, the cost relative to that limit is very inexpensive. But going back, focusing on the umbrella insurance, this is what I advise people to do. You want to add up the equity in your home. Okay. Any investments that you have. Okay. Your personal belongings, the money in your checking and savings accounts, and any future earnings that you might have. Okay. So just add that up in your mind, and when you look at your auto insurance policy and you look at those liability limits, or you look at your home policy and you see that your home liability limit is $300,000, well, really quickly, I would think most people would determine that they're going to make more than that in the span of their career, or that can be exhausted very quickly, right? Okay. So you want to protect your assets, right? And that's what umbrella insurance does. Now, I think what some people are afraid of is, maybe is an umbrella policy really an expensive thing to purchase? Not at all.
No, it's not.
In a lot of cases, the multi-policy discount that you get by adding an umbrella policy over top of your home and auto, sometimes it might even pay for itself. Yes. So you might not even pay an additional amount of money. So it's something that you should definitely consider getting, and it's a conversation you need to have with your agent.
And it's a few $100s. I mean, I can remember, I think that my specific policy, I think I pay about $600 and I get $2 million worth of coverage. And so we just have that. And does it also protect you if you have like a auto accident or any extra stuff like that? I also have some rental properties, and I want that because if anybody gets hurt on any of my properties, even though I have insurance on them, I feel like that's a little bit of extra protection being a homeowner or a landlord on rental properties. Am I correct in that?
Absolutely. So rental property owners should definitely consider getting umbrella insurance policies.
Okay.
As a, if you're a property owner of a rental property,
okay,
it's your responsibility to make sure that your property is safe for your tenants and for guests. So if your tenant, for some reason, causes damage to a neighbor's property,
right,
or say they have a guest over, and the guest slips and falls on the front steps to the property.
Okay.
Well, you as the owner of the property can be liable for that.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you're protected in that sense. I would also advise people that own rental properties to make sure that their tenants have renter's insurance.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
So that makes sure that there's an extra layer of protection before your policy might be primary, right? So you want to make sure that you're asking your tenants to have that. Now, really quickly, it's an interesting thing to think about just in terms of the area that we live in.
Okay.
That's another reason to consider umbrella insurance. The Washington, D.C. metro area has more attorneys per capita than anywhere in the country.
So litigious.
By a long shot.
Yes.
So, in this area, lawsuits are entirely too common.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you protect yourself in the best way possible. Lawsuits can, even if they have no validity, no credibility, and
it's expensive to defend yourself. So would let's say somebody was trying to, sue me for a car accident or something, my umbrella insurance may potentially help me with that, right?
It would definitely. I mean, so your auto insurance policy would be the primary. That would pay first, right?
Okay.
And then if those policy limits are exhausted,
okay,
if it's a significant accident, then your umbrella policy would kick in.
Okay.
So let's take an auto claim as an example. If you hit somebody else, you're in an at-fault accident.
Okay.
It's not just the property damage to the car that the insurance company is paying for. It's also bodily injury to the individual. It could be lost wages while that person is out of work.
Yes.
And in a high income area that we live in, these expenses can get high very quickly.
Yes. So, well, thank you for talking about that. And then I just wanted to touch briefly on flood insurance because, a lot of people, they don't have it. We don't really see a lot of flooding here. And when it does happen, it's kind of a surprise if it happens. But I'll take, for example, I have a beach house, and so I don't have to have flood insurance there. I'm 21 feet above sea level, and I'm not in a flood zone. I don't have to have it, but when I called to get it, just to be on the safe side, there were a lot of variables to it. Tell me some quick stuff that you think about flood insurance and what your thoughts are.
Okay, well, flood insurance, to begin with, is not covered under a standard homeowner policy, right? So it is something that has to be purchased separately.
Okay.
Okay, and determining whether you're in a flood zone or not, typically, if you have a mortgage on a property, your lender should and will let you know
if you should have it,
if flood insurance is required.
Okay.
Okay. It's determined by assessing the risk level of where your property is located, right? So low to high risk.
Okay.
Obviously, if you're closer to a large body of water,
Yes.
You're at a higher risk of having a flood claim.
Right.
So there are ways to determine that on your own as well.
Okay.
Through FEMA, you can actually contact them, and their specialists can actually look up your property
And
determine what zone you're in. If for some reason that data is out of date, which does happen, I've had situations where that occurs, you can also hire a surveyor to come out to the property and get what is called an elevation certificate.
Okay.
And that identifies the flood zone that you are in.
Okay, perfect. All right, and I think that that is everything that we have to talk about. I mean, you can always contact Brett if you have any questions about insurance, or if you might need an umbrella policy or maybe even flood insurance. We thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you again next time.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome.